How's it going, everybody? In this video, we're going to take a look at our first real video on implementing FTD on Eve and how all that process can go. So as you can see behind me, we have a fairly small lab. We have the FMC sitting down here. We have the FTD1, which is going to be at the focal point of our lab, in our labs, I should say. I have R3 back here that will be acting as an internal endpoint that I'll be able to test out things like NAT and static routing and dynamic routing on the inside. R4 out here will be a point to where we can point BGP, static routing, VPN, all that type of stuff. It'll be just a straight point-to-point connection between the two devices. And we have R5 over here that will be acting as a node behind another router that we can use for testing remote connectivity into the FTD device and stuff like that. So that's going to be the majority of what we're going to be playing around with and stuff like that. I'm going to be using a combination of the FTD, so the FMC to work with the FTD device. So we will be spending the majority of our time in the FMC to work with the FTD device and stuff like that. So in this video, what we're going to be mainly focusing on is going through and getting the two interfaces, gig 0/0 and gig 0/1, up and running and getting them operational. And then we will take a look at additional steps and stuff like that as we're going forward to get things running. So as I progress through this set of videos, what we will be focusing on as we progress is all of the things on the device to get at least base operations working. And then we'll follow on after that to work on things like the different policies and network discovery and what's happening on the device and so on and so forth, so we can get a better understanding of what's going on. So this is more infrastructure related details, IP addressing, routing, NAT, stuff like that, eventually VPN and stuff like that, so we can take a look at those details. So first things first that I want to go do is I actually want to configure gig 00 and gig 01 in order to get them squared away. So we're going to start off on the outside interface. We're going to go ahead and click on gig 0/0. We're going to go and hit the edit button here, and I will come in here, and the first thing you want to do is you want to click on the enabled checkbox there, and the name, this is going to be outside, and the mode in this particular case here, we're not going to go passive, none, or ER span. We're going to just do none. And the security zone, we don't really have one defined yet, but because of the fact that we're going to want one, I'm going to go ahead and click on new, and we're going to say outside. And I'm going to go all caps with this. Outside, and click on OK. So it's creating the security zone in the background, and then it's going to go ahead and assign it, so then we can go and do zone-based applications later on. So we've done this now. Next thing to do is click on the IPv4 tab. It is going to be a static IP, and we will go and on this address we'll type in 41.0.0.1/24, and we're going to click on OK. So that's going to update the interface. So that one's set now. We'll do the exact same thing for the inside interface. So we'll click on the edit button here for gig 0/1. We'll click enable. We'll say inside, and then the security zone will be new, and we'll type in inside. Click on OK, and then we will specify the IPv4 address is going to be 10.1.3.1/24. Click on OK. And there we have it. So that's pretty much all we have to do. And I'm going to go ahead and click the save button up here at the top. So we have validated the config. So we're going to go click on the deploy button here now. The deploy button is going to pop up, or I should say the deploy option is going to pop up. And let me go ahead and scoot this down just a little bit and scoot this up so we can see what's happening. So what's going to end up happening here is we'll see that the FTD device is here. We'll click on it. We can actually, if we wanted to, we can deploy to multiple aspects of this at the same time, to multiple FTD devices at the same time. We're not going to do that, but the option is there. If you expand out on this guy, it'll show you what's being configured. Really, there's not much in here nothing much in here shows what we're actually doing. There's some device configuration and stuff like that. If we were to scroll this up and down, we would see what some of the different options are we could be doing. We're just doing the interfaces, but it doesn't specifically tell us what. So we can go ahead and click on deploy, and it's going to go ahead and deploy the configurations and stuff like that. So in the meantime, one thing that we can do is pull up a PuTTY tab, and I can come in here and do .62 22 SSH. We're going to get a prompt for yes for the login, and we'll type in admin and then admin 123, and then we should be able to authenticate to, oh, I'm sorry, this would be the password PASSW0RD. There we are. So now we're logged in to this guy. So this will be our validation capability. So right now, if we click on the tab here and we go to what it's doing, running, we can see that it's doing the pre-deployment configuration generation. So now it's going to take a little bit for it to go through. If we do a show interfaces IP brief, we'll see that nothing's really been configured yet. We're patiently waiting for these interfaces to come online, and as soon as that happens, we'll be in pretty good shape. But for right now, it's the waiting game. So I'm going to pause the video and wait for this to do its thing. Alright, well, the configuration has appeared to have worked. Deployments, right now we're in the deployment phase where it's 25% done. And as this progresses right here, as this progresses on, we should start to see when it gets to more like 90% and stuff like that, that the information here will change and update, where the interfaces will become up and running. Right now it's still in the process of deploying and stuff like that. So it is not the fastest game in town, that is for sure. But as long as you're patient, it goes by pretty quick. So, alright, well, as you can see, it took it almost 4 minutes to do its thing, and obviously I wasn't live for all 4 minutes of that. But if I hit the up arrow and look at it, now we should have our addressing squared away and stuff like that. So that's a good sign, and how to get all that type of stuff rocking and rolling. So now the next step would be to go and validate some IP addressing. So let's go over here to, I'm going to go to router 4. I'm going to go to global config. Host name is going to be R4. And then interface, let me go ahead and scoot this guy up just a little bit. We have interface gig 0/0. IP address is going to be 41.0.0.4/24. No, shut that. Then interface gig 0/1. IP address of 10.4.5.4/24. No, shut that guy. And I'm also going to do the same thing for 5 real quick since I'm right here. Host name is going to be R5, interface gig 0/0, IP address 10.4.5.5/24. Now that I have all that done, what I can do is on 4, because that stuff should be up now, is I should be able to ping 41.0.0.1 and get a ping reply back, which I do. So now if I go back to R1 here, if I do a show ARP, I should have an entry in here for the ARP table from R4, which is what I have. So that's pretty cool in terms of what it does and how it works and stuff like that. So basically what this would mean now is I'm pretty much squared away with the initial configuration of the interfaces. There's going to be a number of other things that we can go do in terms of how we handle things in the very near future with operations of how we interact with the AS or with FTD. So there will be things like doing DHCP and setting up NAT and doing some static routing and stuff like that. They're going to be very concise videos because of the fact that there's time constraints that it takes to wait for the individual, the FMC to push the config down to the FTD device. It's not like configuring an ASA where it's pretty quick. So there's other things that we're going to be taking a look at, but this is just going to be like I said, the initial setup. If we go back to the FMC, we can see that these interfaces are online and operational.